guys, we're having our first conversation this morning, and as we mentioned, it's all about Compliance U, but the U in Compliance U, and of course ways that you can avoid fraud. We have here with us a representative of Compliance U to talk to us about it. And his name is Robin Vernon. Hi Robin, how you doing?
Great to be here. A little bit tired, but good.
Oh, that's fine. We'll wake you up. Now, when we're talking compliance, I think we oftentimes think of bigger businesses and ways they are trying to avoid scammers and persons infiltrating their private information. But let's talk about compliance and the importance for everyone, including our viewers that are tuning in at home, and why it's important for them to know about the importance of compliance.
That's a great point that you touched on. Usually when people think about compliance or people think about doing background checks or due diligence, they almost always see it as being on the company's behalf.
Yeah.
But what people fail to realize is this is something that should be standard for both businesses as well as your average regular person like yourselves and myself. No offense.
And that's where the you comes in, a little bit more singular.
Exactly. So the main point of this conversation is to speak on the clear and present issues that people are facing almost daily, but they're almost not always reported, right? So what's one of the most usual places you would see issues like this happening in Belize's day-to-day life? Facebook, right? Usually in buy and sell, usually in marketplace. I think everybody at this point already used to this in one of the videos where somebody just say, oh my goodness, I'm going to buy this phone from this person, but unfortunately they took the phone, but they never got the money. And you know what I mean? Like these transactions fell through.
This is specifically referring to cybercrime, correct? Or
in this particular instance, yes, but there's always different ways that it can happen. Usually it happens, well, it's really tied to any form of monetary transaction. That's usually where the scams tend to take place.
Yes.
The platform isn't so much important so much as the main issue itself, which is just how you end up getting jilted, right? So in Belize specifically, I feel like based on the way how these issues have been happening, Facebook is just a prime platform for people to use to conduct these crimes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the victims are none the wiser to what's happening. I mean, you want to believe that the person that you're doing business with is a trustworthy person. You want to believe that your transaction is going to be well taken care of, that the money is going to be in your hands and that the product's going to be exchanged. But more often than not, that doesn't end up being the case. You've seen issues, like I said before, people purchasing phones. You've seen it on larger scales where people are trying to purchase automobiles, and then those issues are happening. Then from the business standpoints, you saw the hotel getting jilted out of thousands of dollars worth of service and food and all that. And all of these things, for one way or another, could have been avoided had the people done proper background checks on who it is they're doing these businesses with.
Yeah.
One of the things that they try to encourage people to do is they try to encourage the regular civilian for when you're doing these transactions, whether it be $100, whether it be $1,000, is just ask the person for identification. Something as simple as social security, driver's license, passport, whatever the case may be. Usually that could be your first line of defense, and it's actually a defense, like a very strong and effective form of first defense.
I agree.
Because that would be a red flag, wouldn't you think? You wanting to do business with this person, them wanting to do business with you, but all of a sudden the entire transaction's put on halt when you ask for identification.
What if I say, well, you know, Rob, I don't have my social security card around me right now.
Well, that's fine, sir, but you're supposed to at least have your driver's license.
I don't drive. I'm just trying to devil's advocate.
No, but the thing is, at least you're asking the questions. At least you're giving this person an opportunity to present these identifications to you.
Yeah.
Should they not have, should they, whatever the case may be, then fine. Now the ball's in your court to do one of many things. Maybe you can put the deal on halt until they get the identification. Maybe you yourself could go, okay, so they don't have that. This could be an opportunity where Compliance U comes in, because you can always reach out to them at their number at 634-4167, and you can actually inquire with them that they do a proper background check on this person for you.
Before you continue, Mr. Vernon, let's take a step back.
Sure.
And talk a bit about Compliance U International. What is it? Who is it that this organization let me do some identity check here. Tell me a bit about Compliance U International and what is it that you guys do over there?
So the international and compliance, just to get it out the way one time, is that the international doesn't mean that they're an outsider providing a service here. They're actually a domestic-based company. The international just means that while they're geared towards providing this service for the domestic Belizean, they can also provide services to businesses abroad looking to achieve the same service, right? Compliance U has been around for a little over a year now. They're an independent organization, which is actually a strong benefit for anyone looking to utilize your service, because this means that they cannot be influenced by any outside source. You can rest easy knowing full well that whatever background checks or due diligence you would require from them would be 100% in your best interest.
So you can reach out to them, like create a couple scenarios that would require an individual reaching out to seek services from Compliance U.
All right. Well, we can touch right on the nitty-gritty. So financing, right? So let's say you're selling your car. Let's say you feel like your car is valued $15,000. Now you work hard.
Yeah.
You put all your money into this vehicle. You fix this vehicle. You maintain this vehicle, and now you're willing to sell this vehicle. You got somebody who come to you and tell you, I could take that vehicle off your hand. I have, what are the usual Belizean thing? I have 12,000 cash right now.
Right?
Best offer.
Best offer. Take it to the dealer, right? 12,000. Now the thing is, anybody would jump at it because it's still a lot of money and it's there and it's in your face, right? Now naturally, you being, well, I'm not gonna say that you're desperate, but what I'm gonna say is
Wanting
you
the
could do
car
it.
sold.
Yeah, you could do it as fast as possible. So maybe this already is enticing you, right? Most people would tend to just want to start to get the transaction going. Other people would be like, I'm a little bit skeptical. It's that skepticism that starts to get that ball rolling. So what you would be able to do is you would get that person's first and last name. You can even do the standard thing in the beginning. You can ask them for their identification and see if they provide it. But if you want to go further than that, you can reach out to Compliance U and provide them the information that you received from this person. And you can ask them if they can do a simple due diligence check on this person. Based on the information that they find, you'll be informed on whether you should move forward with doing this transaction or whether you should just kind of play it safe and just say, you know what, bro, I know that you really want it, man, and that 12,000 enticing, but I will have to just check with somebody else.
What is it that a due diligence check reveals about a person?
That depends on the nature of what the person's, let's say, involved in. Let's just do it that way. They're not just going to do a simple like Facebook background check and just kind of start. No, they're going to look up any form of article or any form of information that can reveal certain experiences or certain situations tied to this person in the past or entity. Because again, it's not just about individuals, it's also about businesses. Because this is the other side of that now as well. Businesses also create these long-standing business relationships with other organizations, other entities, and it's in that business's best interest as well to want to ensure that their reputation, that their assets, and that their work body are well taken care of as well. These are more intricate, of course, because now you're looking up corporations, you're now looking up organizations. And one thing though, as I was giving this explanation that I feel is important for people to understand is that compliance only works as well as individuals make these reports. Because this person or this entity could be tied to, let's say, not so good things. But had it not been reported or has it not like ever been discussed, then it's going to be clean. One of the responsibilities that you, Sabrina, and myself, that we all have is that we should ensure that we report any form of malpractice in any regard, because this helps future people from avoiding the same situation.
So there's a reliance on data that's already out there on the web of an individual.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
I want to look at compliance on a larger business scale, and I think you already alluded to it, of the benefit of having an independent company like Compliance U assisting with due diligence. Let's touch on that a little bit more, because I'm here thinking of, for example, banks. They would also have their own compliance department. Let's talk about how Compliance U or an independent business like Compliance U could ensure that compliance of a company is better.
I wouldn't be able to say if it's better or not, because the idea is to just ensure that the service that you're requesting is at the top of what you need. Whether it be from a financial institution like a bank, or whether it be from an organization like Compliance U, the idea is you as the person requiring this service just wants to know that you're going to be in the best hands. I can't speak on financial institutions because they have a lot of different responsibilities, and not just due diligence and not just compliance. They have an entire department dedicated to this, so I have no doubt that those institutions would do a great job at doing due diligence checks. Compliance U is specifically geared towards that goal, is specifically geared towards ensuring that they provide the utmost service in due diligence checks and background checks. So basically it's like one person has 5 different responsibilities, they're going to ensure that they meet all those responsibilities. One company is geared towards one specific goal, so you as the service requester can decide which you would more want to put your money on.
Yeah, and so I would imagine that with a due diligence check, you'll find things such as if this person has been involved in any sort of illicit activities in the past, if maybe they've scammed somebody, if perhaps they have a record of some sort that shows that they've spent some time behind bars for something or the other. Perhaps maybe complaints on social media as well. How far does this search really go?
And that is exactly the question. It can range anywhere from a disgruntled previous person wanting to do business with this person saying, you know, I can't trust this fellow, because I don't got my money.
Right, something simple on Facebook.
Yeah, it can start with something as simple as that, and it can go all the way up to illicit activities that ended up resulting in time behind bars. It really ranges, and that's the thing that people don't realize. People don't realize the scope or the magnitude of certain entities with which they want to do business, but they also don't recognize the risk that they're taking on themselves, because this person can be tied to a type of illicit activity that can even implicate you, and you're just someone wishing to do simple business with this person, for example, money laundering, which many people find themselves innocently becoming a part of, because as far as they're concerned, they were just receiving money for a transaction. All of a sudden now you end up getting more than what you initially wanted to sell something for, and then the person's contacting you back saying, I think I sent you a little bit too much, can you send me it back? And then that's exactly how it starts. That money just starts rotating in that way. And in your mind, you were just helping someone get back their money. But now, you're an innocent accomplice.
I could see how this could be helpful if, for example, we've been doing a lot of reports on land scams as well. And I could see how this could be helpful if somebody gives you an offer that maybe seems too good to be true on a parcel of land, whether it's 1 acre or 10 acres, and they're telling you, hey, we have everything in order, you just need to make a deposit, make an initial deposit, 10% deposit, $10,000, right? And then you continue making deposits without doing your due diligence. But if you make that first deposit and you realize that something's up, you could reach out to Compliance U, correct?
You absolutely can. And speaking on the same thing that you were discussing, one of the issues that people were facing were that they were being offered transactional land by entities who weren't even the actual person they were claiming to be. And you could see there were certain instances in the past where people were even claiming to be ministers. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And this is exactly the point. Like, I feel like one of the first questions that people need to ask themselves is this too good to be true? Like, you know what I mean? A little skepticism does help.
Yeah, but I don't know where us being so gullible comes from, because I think we've all gotten some message of sorts in our inbox saying, hey, did you hear that you won $50,000? And unfortunately, there are some people that believe it. I mean, I even think about those larger search engines that all of a sudden try to tell you that you won a cruise or something like that. Where does the being gullible come from?
Without stepping on toes, I want to say that it's a combination of three things that I've observed throughout the years. The first thing being, it's kind of a generational thing. No offense or anything like that. You know what I mean? Being born in the technological realm, you kind of grow up already understanding certain things, already understanding about the threats to security when it comes to internet or when it comes to digital communication. People from back in the day, they tend to be a little bit more trusting with stuff like that. Then of course there's also the fact that we're a small country. We kind of thrive on this belief that we smile and everybody know everybody, so that means everybody should be okay with everybody. You know, but in reality, those things just present opportunities for us to be taken advantage of, and people are aware of that. You know, so like I said before, I think it just helps, and it's in everyone's best interest to just be a little bit skeptical or a little bit wary about certain things.
My mind begins to go down a bit of a rabbit hole, but I think there may also be an opportunity here for compliance in the relationship market.
Ooh.
I mean, who knows?
Do the background check for me, Robbie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in this person, but I don't know.
So I know the try tell me right now
That's a good one, Paul.
tell me right now that I don't want compliance, you be on our best friend, on okay.
Of course.
I'll be like, hey, you could please don't leave.
Quick
Sometimes
thing,
got dates,
I can't do all the
Yeah.
work. I'm too busy, but I need to know at least initially, right?
Yeah, I agree. Let me know if I'm about to go on a date with a psychopath. You know?
Well, maybe that could be something we could recommend to them then.
Yeah, you can have promotions on Valentine's Day.
But Mr. Vernon, once again, remind us how is it that we can get in contact with Compliance U if it is that we want to seek those types of services. I believe 100% that this definitely does fill a gap that needs to be filled. Because we oftentimes don't know who to turn to do some sort of background or get some sort of help. You, on a one level, we might try to do our own research, and the most we come up with is a Facebook post that somebody, or a Facebook page, sorry, that somebody has manufactured to look trustworthy and presentable. Or we may call a friend and say, hey, do you know this person? And person might not know much as well. So it definitely fills a gap. Tell us a bit about how we can get in contact, and perhaps the process of the service, like what happens once we call them.
All right. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge something that you said when you talked about how people would take it upon themselves to do something. The truth is, albeit small, I think it's still important that they at least try, that you at least try. Because you're at least making an effort to try to protect yourself from malpractice, right? Now, everyone works extremely hard for their top dollar, right? And days aren't getting any easier. We're becoming more and more protective of what little we make and what little we have. And that's very important. And so I would urge viewers to reach out to Compliance U. They have a Facebook page. And you can also reach out to them at their phone number, 634-4167. And you can ask them about the different services that they provide, and they'd be more than happy to even walk those interested through the process of what they would need or what they would require to be able to delve further into different entities with which they want to do business.
All right. Well, Robin, thank you so much for stopping by and having this conversation with us. It was absolutely important, and I think, well, I'm hoping that our viewers were able to get something from it.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation switches into Fisher Folk Month. Stay with us.
That sounds interesting.
We'll be right back.